Okay, guys, I think this is gonna work. Let's see. I just went live on Instagram. Let's see if you guys can see. Can you all? There we go. Okay, I'm on a bit of a delay, but I'm trying something new today where I show the screen and of course I'm like talking to myself, making sure everything's set up. Like, does anybody else do that when they're trying to get everything set up? They like, okay, I got this, I got this, got this. That's definitely what I'm doing right now. So if you could hear me, you got an insight into my crazy thoughts. So every day, I gotta tell y'all, if you hear this alarm every single day in Bernie, the fire department, I don't know why, but this alarm goes off. And so I know it's noon. I know it's time for our live when that little alarm goes off. So anyway, I am so happy you guys are here. I know I got a ton of messages from people saying like, what's going on? Where are you? We were so excited to do the renewal conversation. And my adrenals were shot yesterday because what happened was I thought it was me. Like I thought I'm testing out this new technology. I want to be able to share my screen with you guys. And literally like 10 minutes before, I could not log on. I had tested everything. It was working. So I was freaking out. So I just was like, anyway, adrenal shot. Did anybody else kind of enjoy though, like not having social media working? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear. And I've got so much stuff going on, guys, because I have so many different like screens on. So at any time, y'all chat me, message me. Armin and Anna, I know you guys are on. So on Instagram, if anything gets weird or if you guys can't see my stuff, let me know. But okay. So I've got my notes today. I just want to say welcome to Facebook Live. This is Selling Home, Selling You. That's what I've decided to call it. The place for housing professionals that want to keep up with the latest in marketing and retention and technology and all around just building that life momentum that comes from just seeking improvement. So I'm very excited to have you guys here. Hey, Mary, happy you're here. And let's see, we've got a bunch of people joining us. What's super exciting is last week, our Facebook Live, our follow-up ended up getting almost close to 3,000 views, you guys. So it's really, really starting to pick up, which is exciting. Okay, so before we start, I have to tell y'all, I was having a really bad day yesterday. Beyond just thinking that my technology was falling apart, I was just getting that frazzled, overwhelmed feeling. And I started to think to myself, like, it was just a perfect storm. Like, we're trying to move into our house and we're trying to get everything set up and it's just not happening as quickly as I want everything to happen. And then, you know, we're launching a new product with real estate. So it felt like the perfect storm yesterday. And around 3 o'clock, I was just in a mood and I thought, I've got to take my own advice. So I went outside, I went for a little bit of a walk, got some fresh air. And then when I came back, I blasted some Aretha Franklin on the music here. I was by myself and I have like a secret confession. I've always wanted to be able to sing like Aretha Franklin. So maybe one day, I doubt it. But I'm curious. I've decided that I wanted to get a playlist going that's like my pump up. So in the comments, drop me a comment. Let me know what's your go-to song when you're in a funk and you just need to like cheer up. Which one do you go to? Who else loves some old school music? It was like Aretha Franklin, Gladys Knight. I just needed that. It's a playlist on Spotify and I'm like, I need to do this more often. All right. Well, I want to see your comments. I'll check back here in a little bit. So last week, follow up. This week, renewals. We're talking about how renewals start on day one, how to prep your team for renewal conversations, how to get inspired with renewal touch points, so much. And I just want to say to start, you guys know that our membership, Sprout Marketing, we offer a marketing platform. If any of you have ever, wondered about what we're all about, we're going to drop it in the comments. And today I'm alone. My little Camilla, my sidekick, she's not here today. So I'm going to be navigating new technology and dropping everything in the comments. So I love hearing everybody's music from Journey to Eminem. I mean, this is a wild crowd. We've got a whole range. So anyway, there it is. If you guys want to know anything about Sprout, you've got it in the comments. I wanted to shout out a testimonial to one of our members. This one is coming from Jody, and I'm so excited because I actually get to show you guys a picture of them. So let me transition there. So this is Jody and her team, and they're at the Green at Plum Creek. And it's a long testimonial, but I'm only going to read this one sentence because literally this made my day. It said, if there was an easy button for marketing, it would be Sprout. And that's exactly what I want to think about when we built out this platform. We're like, we want it to be the easy button of marketing. So if I've got my people on here that are Sprout members, share us some love, and maybe one of your testimonials will be featured on here. So that was the team, and I'm so excited that I was able to show you guys that. So again, you want to know a little bit more, check back in there. So let's get started. We're going to talk about renewals today. For my Instagram peeps, if you want to follow along, you want to see what I'm seeing, you can jump on Facebook. If not, I'm going to record this and we're going to put this one up so that you guys can see. I'm also sharing my screen, and this might take just a minute, but what I want to do is I want to show y'all, this is the opt-in for the multifamily client journey book. And I want to show you how we can use it to talk about renewals. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that link for y'all. If you're a Sprout member, it's on the site. You can grab it, but if not, this is a freebie for you guys today. I'm going to drop it right now in the comments. You guys can see my links that I'm going to be sharing, but here's the deal. You get your journey book, and then it takes you to this page where you can download it, and I did a little 12-minute training video on how to use it. So it's not just like a how-to, but it's like a walk you through step by step. And today, talking about renewals, you can use this to really build out your renewal process. And really, it's meant to build out any process within your community. But what you can do is right here where it says phase, you can do renewals as your focus. And then you go into the different action items, and it's really your, it's like your workbook, your guidebook. So I wanted to share that with you guys. It's there again in the comments. If you have any trouble downloading it, just give me a shout out and I will let you guys know. So getting back to this, today we are talking about renewals and how they start on day one. And I want to share with you guys that the reason I am so passionate about talking about renewals is because the deal is, when you think about renewals, it's so much easier to keep the clients that you already have than to go after new ones. We do tons of training on follow-up and on outreach. It is hugely important, but at the same time, if you didn't have to lose as many clients, you wouldn't have to do as much. So the transition is exhausting, right? Because of that, we want to talk about, hey, how do we keep them? And one of the things that I mentioned in our promo is that our rate of renewal is really a reflection of the sum of all of our interactions. That's the biggest thing to remember. It's all of the interactions that we have with our residents. That's what is going to determine how great our renewals are. And so I wanted to show you guys in an illustrative kind of way how this works. And so I've got 2 jars with me. And I have a ton of gumballs, these little pink ones. I don't know if we had a baby shower or what, but they were in the Sprout closet that I tell you guys about sometimes. And what we think about when we think about our client interaction, we think about what kind of equity we're putting in, what kind of relationship are we building. So this is community 1. Community 1 has done everything right. So they had a great prospect, they showed them, they toured, they decided to become a resident, and they leased. So they put a little equity in the bank. After that, they had a really great move-in process. The apartment was just the way that it was promised, a little more equity. Throughout the journey, they checked on the client regularly, not in an intrusive way, but in a way that made an impact. And then a little bit later, some things went wrong, as they sometimes do, but they fixed it. They kept the client in the loop. And again, they kept filling. They had some great events. They interacted on social. They had great conversations. And all of these things, all the while, this community is building equity. Now, when it comes time to renew, this community has this equity in the bank. Now we're going to take community number 2. This community, on the other hand, did not put a ton of equity in. They toured, they got them in, so the person committed, so they put a little bit of equity in the bank. But move-in was not smooth. In fact, it was frustrating. So right from the beginning, that resident was no longer happy. So their little jar of goodwill is now empty. And throughout the process, they did a few things right. Maybe not stellar, but they did okay. Somebody actually showed an interest, and here and there, they built a little bit. They had a couple of events that spoke to that resident, and so there was a little bit there. But then again, whenever things got tough, they had a maintenance request. Not only did they drop the ball, but they didn't communicate. And so in that resident's mind, there was no equity left. All that goodwill that had built, the little bit that was there to begin with, was completely gone. So what you have is you have two residents, two different communities. And when the time comes to renew, and for many of us, we're raising rents, you have community one that goes on to talk to that resident about raising their rents and renewing. But when the time comes for that resident to make a decision and they go back, there's nothing there. There's no value added, there's no relationship, so their bank is empty. On the other hand, the first community that we talked about did so many good things. They had some hiccups along the way, like we mentioned, but the next move was always done well. And so because of that, when it came time to renew, guess what? They had a ton of equity that they could collect on, and it was easy to have that renewal conversation. They had built this goodwill, they had built this relationship. So I've got to tell you guys, the question is with us, which community are we? Are we one that is building a ton of goodwill? This is probably really loud in the mic, but are we building a ton of goodwill, or are we either doing things wrong or not doing enough? So again, our rate of renewal is a reflection of the sum of all of our interactions. So to start it off, you just got to ask yourself, which one are we? And we start from there, right? Acknowledging what we're doing well and what we need to work on is our very first step. So here's how the old way of doing things just doesn't work for us. I want to share with you guys, I've shared this before, but I visually want to show you. This is a day in the life of your residents, and for Instagram, I'll talk it through. So we think about our residents, they are just people, just like us. Like yesterday, I had a crummy day and it took me some time to get out of it. They have crummy days too, like all of us. So this little representation shows they're stuck in traffic, they're late to work, they spill coffee on their desk, maybe they fry their laptop, and then they get chewed out by their supervisor, and it's frustrating, right? Then at home, on their way home, they're stuck in traffic, picking up the kids are in a bad mood, they pick up bills from the mailbox, they walk in, they get to their home, their sanctuary, their place where they just want to put on their comfy clothes, and guess what it is? A corporate renewal letter stuffed right in there telling them, hey, not only do we have a renewal letter for you, but we have an increase. Can you guys see where the old way of doing renewals isn't working? Can you guys see where when we renew in a way that loses the heart of relationships, no longer works? So how would we change this? Well, that's what we want to focus on today, is doing things different. And I think we had a little glitch, but hopefully everybody's back on Facebook. So what I want to talk about is every day is renewal day. Every day we're building equity towards that renewal bank. And that's how we have to really, really look to renewals, is a focus. And so I want to make sure that when you think about renewals, that's what you're doing. So ask yourself, would I personally recommend this community? And if not, many times that's where we have to go back to that client journey guidebook. And I want to show you guys that again, because here are the 3 or the 4 questions that we ask ourselves in any phase. What are we currently doing that's working well? Where are there bottlenecks and frustrations? What basics do we need to do every time? And how can we add a little wow to the experience? Guys, when we focus on that and when we get the mindset of always renewing, we're once again changing the conversation of renewals. So I want to talk a little bit about how we can make renewals a little bit personalized, but automatic too. We're talking about those touch points. So what are some of the things that we can do? Well, we know that renewals start on day 1, and it's not enough just to talk about renewals when they're about to renew. So I want to show you guys another little deal that I put together, and I'm going to give you an example. This is not something, you don't have to follow this exactly, but creating a 12-month of retention program that showcases different ideas for touch points that you can do with your residents. So you don't have to get lost in this. This is specific for our members. They can search and then find designs that they're looking for. But for those of you that are building this out on your own, I want to give you some ideas. So think about post-move-in check-in, giving it a few days, maybe even a week or 2 after somebody got settled. how well are they, how happy are they with your community at that point? This is this golden opportunity where impressions are the most fragile. And when we think about that, it's like, how can we make sure that it was good? Ask them again, how was the process? Was there anything we could have done that would have been smoother? If your lease was up, if you had to make this choice again, would you renew? Kind of a scary question to ask somebody 2 to 3 weeks after they move in, but it gives us a real pulse on, are we having to add more equity, or have we already really messed up? Like, what do we have to do? And then last week in follow-up, I talked a lot about automation. So when it comes to automating new members or onboarding new residents, you can think about it in a way that says, how can I constantly add value to their life? So a series of check-ins that maybe don't feel so intrusive. Things like an FAQ video that gets sent out. If you hear a lot of move-ins, questions from move-ins, put together a little series. I shared last week loom.com, a free video series. And it's very personal, it's really quick, and you can record your screen, your face, whatever, or just send audio. So that could be a touch point. A welcome from the entire team or just from the manager. A welcome from the maintenance, or a tip on how to maintain or keep energy costs low, or whatever else. Make a note at move-in at what's important to that person. Did they come in with their kids, their dog, their parents, their elderly parents? Did they talk about a new job? Make a little note of that. Have a section already in your lease for follow-up. I know for us, we're in a similar situation. We're a membership type of a program. And so for us, it's important for us to kind of remember on our sales call what was important to them that's going to continue to be important in the future, because renewals, that's what it's about. It's about saying, hey, I heard you, and not just today when I sold you, but further on, I'm listening. And I know that's hard to do when you're at a 500 unit plus community. So we're just talking about what you can do and what you can scale. So take what you can from this and then modify to fit your circumstances. But add that note so that you can personalize that experience. Then at the maybe 6-month mark or the 7-month mark, if you want to be untraditional, send an anniversary gift to their job. And again, this is a 2-for-1. It's an outreach, a marketing, a retention, a referral. I mean, you get a ton of value for that, and try to have a little bit in your budget to do those kind of things. Even if it's not a big thing, even if it's just sending a thank you card that has something fun, a balloon that they can blow up. I'm going to show you guys some photos here in just a bit. In addition to that, let's see. What I want you guys to do is also get comfortable asking for reviews when they're happy. A client that is bought into your community is more likely to renew because they've endorsed you. So these are all things, again, starting from day one that you can do, and that's going to help you to renew again and again and to have that conversation when the time comes. Okay, so think through. I shared a few. Let me just remind you. A post-move-in check-in. I like this one to be personal if possible, 2 to 3 weeks after they've moved in. A series of video and email check-ins. MailChimp is a great service for setting up some automations. Some of you might have that built into your own programs. Making a note of move-in so that at the 4-month, 6-month, or 7th-month mark, you can send something for their anniversary, but make it personal. Again, if they have a pet, do something for their pet. If they have a child, make even just a comment that says, hey, I hope Andy is loving it at X elementary school. The fact that you remembered, super impressionable. So those anniversary reminders or anniversary cards or even a little gift. And then asking for reviews along the way. And getting comfortable with questions like, if your lease was up, would you renew? And would you recommend our community to friends? If they wouldn't recommend, it's probably because they're not in love with the community. So back to the screen that we did, I'm going to show you guys just one more time. This for the Sprout members, it's in your foundational guide under renewals, but create your 12 touch points. 12 might be too many for you. Create 3, 6, 8, whatever makes sense and whatever is manageable. And I want to get back to talking about, if you're not doing anything right now, do 1 or 2 of them. It's going to be better than not doing any. So I don't want you guys to get overwhelmed, but I do want in your team meetings to talk every single day is renewal day. We're not waiting till the very end. Okay, so let's see what else I've got for you guys here. Next up, I want to talk about prepping your team in advance for those renewal conversations. So I've made a few notes. If you guys want to make some notes, go ahead, and then I'll also recap this in the blog. What you want to think about when it comes to your renewal conversations is, as a team, discuss why price increases are necessary for the financial health of your community. So as managers, we're dealing in the budgets, we're in some of those corporate meetings, but our team doesn't hear a lot of that. And so when you think about that, it's like we have to sell as the leads why we have to raise rents, because sometimes I've talked to leasing professionals and they're like, I don't know why we're raising these rents. This is crazy. So if they understand the backing, they're better able to sell it to then a resident. Get familiar with current market rates and competitor pricing. A lot of times our perceived idea of what our rents are and how high they are in comparison may not be accurate. So the very first thing is to go on a fact-finding mission. And then list out any improvements that have been made in the community. Remind yourself why people bought in the first place and how you stand out as different. Having those things gives you the confidence to talk about renewals even if a price increase is in place. And then the next one is, I want you guys as a team to think about the cost of moving. So do a little research. What does it cost to move in your area? Not only that, but I want you to jump outside for a minute and think about, what does it cost you to move emotionally? So in a recent study that was done, 61% out of 2,000 said that moving was the number one stressor in life. It even was higher than death and divorce. That's how bad people hate moving. And I was thinking to myself, we have to think about that when we talk about renewals and get comfortable. Think about the emotional costs. If your prospect has children, what is the cost of moving school districts and making new friends? Even our pets, they hate moving. It's like an environmental shock to them, right? So even having little prompts around your community that talk about that is going to be huge for having those conversations. Share those kind of statistics on your Facebook page regularly, right? Because it reminds them, do I really want to do this to myself? I'm in the process of moving right now myself, and it is a nightmare. I hate it. I can attest to the fact that it is super stressful. So think about that when you're having those conversations and do those little prompts along the way. The next point goes back to your multifamily guidebook that we shared the link for earlier. Practice or familiarize yourself why you've lost renewals. Is it because of some of the things that you're doing along the way? Is maintenance maybe not where it needs to be? Or is the move-in process really stressful? Or are you not getting good attendance at events and people just don't feel bought in? Or are you not listening and you really just have no idea why people are leaving? Again, that knowledge arms us with the ability to make corrections. So as a team, talk about it and say, how can we fix this moving forward? And then the last little point that I want to say is practice. Nobody is just naturally born being good at having a conversation where you're asking people to give more money. It's not like it just comes natural. And if it does come natural, it might be a super salesy feel, right? So as a team, have those conversations. And as the manager, take the lead. Raise real objections when you're doing role play. When somebody says, what? You're going to raise my rent $100? Why? What have y'all done? How would they respond? And do it until they get comfortable. Now, I know most people hate role play. I hate role play, but the reality is doing role play gets us comfortable, and then we're more prepared for when we're in it in the real life moment. So have those conversations and then offer constructive feedback. And then on your weekly meeting, ask the team, how did we focus on renewals this week? What objections did we face? How can we overcome them next week? All right. Next up, I want us to talk about actual fun things with renewals. And I'll share my screen one more time. I want to show you guys, for the Sprout members, we're always trying to come up with like fun ways, but you guys can recreate some of these yourself. So this is a helping hand after somebody moves in. This is one of our daily dose. And it's basically giving a helping hand to someone after they've moved in. It's a little note that you can do once they've moved in. Let us know if we can give you a hand, leaving some nice soap or some lotion or something there that's just like a nice welcome. And this is always fun for starting that renewal conversation on day one. So we're following it from welcome all the way to renew. And then just having some fun with things like, I love this one. This one we shared a few months back, but we're fond of you. And it's this cute little renewal with these sweet deer. And you can just find matching envelopes, that can make this really pop. In addition to that, I wanted to talk about surprising and delighting. So we did a big photo shoot a couple of years back, and we talked about how we could have some fun with our renewal. So I want to visually show you, and I thought this would be the easiest way. So this was the one where we left a bright yellow balloon that says "Pop Me," and it was waiting for a resident when they got home, and then it had a little thing that said, "Come in, we'd love to have a renewal conversation with you," and we've got a little goodie. Those conversations, they're always easier in person. Sorry guys about this crazy shadow. This other one is a little more extensive. We've got some helium balloons in a box. When a resident opens the box, it says, "Open me." These balloons come out. And again, the prompt is, "Come in, let's have a conversation." Or these little guys where we do some sweet treats, blow up the balloon, leave it in a little baggie. Anyway, something that can be, instead of coming home to that renewal letter, that very corporate feel, surprising and delighting. And it's just about having a little bit of fun with it. Now, I also wanted to talk about the idea of doing a renewal wall. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to do a pet-friendly themed live that hopefully you guys can join us for. So here's the deal. Whenever you can show social proof and you can show somebody doing these kind of things in person, it even helps with that social currency. So surprising and delighting, when you have those moments, try to snap pictures. Or do a campaign where you build this renewal wall, maybe out of craft paper, and you ask a resident once they've renewed, "Could I take a picture of you or a picture of your pet?" And it's a little card that you put up that says, "I renewed, moving is rough." And it just makes it a little bit fun. And even if they're up for it, ask them to write, "What made you renew?" So having this wall inside your community office that says, "I renewed," with all these little testimonials, so to speak, it gives that social proof that others are renewing. In addition to that, I wanted to give you guys a freebie so that you could start today with doing something fun with renewal. So for our Sprout community, they're very familiar. We do a ton of marketing flyers, but we also do a lot of renewal initiatives. So I wanted to give you guys just this really cute preview. And today I thought, I don't want to just give you guys a preview. Sorry, we paused there. I don't want to just give you guys a preview. I want to give you something that you can put into place today. So I thought for spring, this one was so cute. And so what I'm going to do, it's right here. This is your little design. You can just, when I send you the link, you can save the image and print it either at your community or get it printed out. So let me grab really quick this link, and I'm going to drop it for you guys here in the comments. Now, again, Sprout members, you've got access to all of this stuff. So you can grab as many of those as you want. And there you guys go. And so Instagram, you can go on there and grab it as well. So remember to surprise and delight. Now, the last thing is we have a pillow also that we got created that says "Stay a While." So you can get custom things made as great renewal gifts. One of the biggest losses I see is people not thanking others for renewals. So when somebody renews, they just said to you, "I pick you again." And that's really huge. And so that's a great opportunity to get a testimonial, get a review, and also talk about referrals. So it gives you a lot of insight. And again, we're on a fact-finding mission to make ourselves better. That's all we're trying to do. And so don't get overwhelmed by renewals. Get really comfortable. Remember that every single day is really showtime, right? It's about making this the best that it possibly can be. So guys, there you have it, 28 minutes, all about renewals. I wanted to close with a little kind of a quote that I'm working on this week. Insight leads to action. So today we took in a lot of insight. We learned. The point is we now take that insight and we put it into action. Action leads to refinement. Refinement means we try something today. We don't get discouraged if it didn't work as best as it could have. We don't get discouraged. We make adjustments. We refine. Refinement leads to clarity. It lets us know what is working, what can we do long term, and clarity leads to momentum. And momentum is what we're looking for. So friends, keep doing what you're doing. Remember, you're selling home, you're improving you, and we're just so excited to be a part of that journey. So tag your friends in the comments, make sure they watch this with us. We'll make sure that everybody gets the replay with all the cliff notes and grab all the freebies. And we are so happy to have you. We'll see you next week. I'm coming to you guys from a different location, not from San Antonio, Texas. I will be somewhere in the country, and we're talking about how to not lose steam when it comes to your career. So I hope you guys will join me next Wednesday, same time, 12 o'clock, same place. So see you guys then. Bye.